Hey there, music maker, how's it going? Today we are going to be diving into a topic that has really been consuming my mind lately. Can AI help us practice the guitar better? A few weeks ago, my buddy Marcel pulled a little bit of a trick on me. He decided to use ChatGPT and Folk RNN to see if he could convince me that he had written a fiddle tune that was generated by AI. Now, not only did Marcel generate this fiddle tune with AI, he used ChatGPT to construct every communication that he had with me throughout the entire process. Now, Marcel totally fooled me on this one.
It turns out I've been lying this whole time. It was actually written by an artificial intelligence program called Folk RNN. I can't believe I got away with it for so long, but hey, at least we can still enjoy playing it together.
I was convinced that the fiddle tune was real, I was convinced that all the communication was real, and we had a good time talking about it over on his channel. If you haven't seen that video, check it out here. In the midst of the reveal, Marcel and I got a little philosophical on this subject and started to chat about whether AI was harmful or helpful to modern musicians. I generally take the position that if we're mindful about these things, we can use these tools to our benefit. Ever since I had that conversation with Marcel, I've been thinking in the back of my mind, can AI help answer some of the most common questions that I get from my students? And one of the most common questions that I get from folks like you watching this video is, how can I practice better? Now, this seemed like a prime topic to toss out to some of my favorite AIs out there, and we're mainly going to be using ChatGPT today, as well as Google's new Bard AI, to see what they can come up with in order to help us become better guitar practitioners. So, today's mission: can an artificial intelligence come up with a better practice routine than me? So before we talk to any of our AI friends about their suggestions for practice routines, let's go ahead and look at kind of a general practice routine that I've been suggesting to my students for a number of years, okay? So I've been teaching professionally for about 10 years now, and in that time I've been using some of the principles that I learned in music school and from my old guitar teachers to kind of formulate a general outline of a practice routine that can be modified for each student depending on their genre and level. Generally speaking, the practice routines that I suggest to my students involve technique, music theory, repertoire, and ear training. Now, those things can be combined in a number of various ways, but recently I've kind of taken this repertoire-based approach to that practice routines. So if a student is looking to learn a new tune, I'll generally suggest taking that tune and using it as a template or a point of departure for any of those other areas. So for example, say that we're learning the fiddle tune Red-Haired Boy. Now that tune is in A mixolydian, so that means for the technical part of the practice routine, students can practice the A mixolydian scale. And then they can maybe do some scale permutations through there, practice the scale in thirds, practice the scale with ascending 4-note cells, practice arpeggios from the A mixolydian mode, etc. You kind of see where I'm going with this. Now, for ear training, what I would suggest is listen to 3 different versions of Red-Haired Boy and see if you can pick out one melodic phrase from each of those versions and work it out on the guitar. For music theory, what I would say is write out the chord changes to the tune Red-Haired Boy, analyze those chord changes, and reverse engineer the key of that song. You can also build that mode from the ground up on a single string. I find that that's a really great exercise for beginners, just to see how these different modes and scales are laid out in a linear fashion on the guitar. For my intermediate and advanced students, I would suggest that they play A mixolydian modes in different positions up and down the neck of the guitar. Now for repertoire, we already have our repertoire determined, right? Practice the tune Red-Haired Boy, and then maybe strip it down to its pillar note melody. Sometimes people refer to that as the quarter note melody, so we're removing some eighth notes in order to provide space so that we can create our own melodic variations and improvisations. So I think you guys kind of see the idea to my practice routine. Using that repertoire-based approach keeps the music at the core of the practice routine, and we can use kind of the fun, engaging part of music, the repertoire, to practice all of those other technical and music theory aspects. So now that you've got an idea of the type of practice routine that I would suggest, let's see what ChatGPT suggests with very few details. I'm just going to ask it for a general guitar practice routine and see what it comes up with. Can you suggest for guitar? Awesome. So here we go. ChatGPT. Let's check this out. ChatGPT suggests a warm-up. That's always a great idea. Get the fingers limbered up, right? Technique practice, that was definitely one of the elements I had in mind, right? Repertoire practice, ear training, practice identifying notes and chords by ear. Improvisation, spend some time improvising over chord progressions or using backing tracks. I love that. Like I said, I didn't suggest that in my practice routine earlier, but this is a great suggestion and one that I often give to my intermediate or advanced players who are interested in improvisation. Good job, ChatGPT. Sight reading, okay, that's great if you're into reading sheet music. Now, if you haven't seen my video on should you read sheet music or not, check it out right here. And then cool down. I actually do suggest this to my students all the time, and I usually suggest this as the warm-up exercise as well. Play something that you're really comfortable and familiar with to get you kind of relaxed and in the zone. And I think that's a great way to end your practice routine. Okay, awesome. I think ChatGPT has a really great outline for a practice routine here. And a lot of you are probably saying, wow, that sounds great, Hayes, but what about the specific exercises that I should practice within each of these bullet points? Well, to you, I say that is a great question, so let's explore that further. Now, this is one of those things that I think can't really be substituted in terms of the human interaction versus the AI interaction, right? If you come to me for a lesson, I can see you play and then suggest technical exercises that are a result of my observations of your playing. ChatGPT can't really do that right now. But let's say that you have a really specific technical problem that's holding you up in your playing. Let's go back to ChatGPT and see if it can recommend anything to help improve your right and left hand speed on the guitar, if that's a technical exercise that you're interested in. All right, we've got it. Yes, here's a technical exercise to improve your right hand alternate picking on guitar. This exercise is a great way to develop both your right hand picking technique and your fretting hand coordination. It's also useful for building speed and accuracy when playing alternate picked runs and solos. Remember to start slowly and gradually increase your speed as you become more comfortable with the exercise. We'll talk about that point in a minute. But let's try the exercise now. All right, folks, I think I've kind of got it down. Let's check out ChatGPT's guitar exercise. There it is, folks. Right hand exercise to develop speed and accuracy as generated by ChatGPT. I actually have done a lot of exercises like this in my life and career as a guitar player. I would love to thank Maddie Whitler for suggesting an exercise that's pretty similar to this years ago, and I feel like it really helped my kind of right hand string crossing accuracy. But is this exercise maybe the most inspiring exercise that I've played on the guitar? I would say no. I would say Maddie's is a little better, and that one we can talk about later. This exercise is leaving me wanting, and you know what? I think I need to give ChatGPT maybe some more specific parameters for what I'm looking to improve in my guitar playing. So I just added the word linear here. Let's see if that does anything. So start by placing your fretting hand on the 5th fret of the low E string. It really likes the 5th fret of the low E string. Repeating this pattern, move up to the 6th fret of the low E string and continuing the same pattern on the A. Oh man, yeah. ChatGPT, that is an awful guitar exercise. I'm giving you an F on that one. That one sucks. Okay, so we're already starting to see maybe some of the limitations here of ChatGPT and its ability to give us specific exercises on the guitar. Just to kind of test things out, I'm going to go over to Bard, which is Google's AI, see if it comes up with anything different. So I'm starting with the same question I gave ChatGPT initially. Can you suggest a technical exercise to improve right-hand alternate picking on guitar? Okay, sure. Here are a few technical exercises to improve right-hand alternate picking on guitar. Playing with others. Playing with other musicians is a great way. I love it. The computer's suggesting to go talk to people, not computers. So I say this is a slightly better answer than ChatGPT's initial one, but let's say that we still need specific, right-hand exercises or left-hand exercises. Let's talk about that. Let's just add that layer of specificity. Specificity. Sure, here's an example of a scale exercise to improve right-hand alternate picking on guitar. You can also try playing the scale using different strumming patterns. Strumming patterns on scales, huh? Picking patterns, maybe, huh? So I'm starting to kind of see some of the weaknesses of the AI suggestions here. And there are kind of, I think we can hone in on some of these suggestions at the end of both of these kind of prompts here, right? You start slowly and gradually increase speed. That's something that I've heard guitar teachers say forever. And honestly, I disagree with that advice a little bit if you're going for speed picking. Once you have an exercise down in the left hand, I think actually it's better to just ramp it up immediately. You don't get better at running by walking faster and faster. You know what I mean? And it's the same on guitar. Okay, before I get too far into hating on ChatGPT and Bard here, let's go to some of those other musical areas in the practice routine and see if they can come up with some useful exercises for us. So we've kind of grazed the topic of technique, and that's a really hard one to convey without music notation or tab or anything like that anyways. So let's see what it suggests for music theory and maybe repertoire and ear training, right? Let's go ahead and dive in. Let's head back to ChatGPT and see what it comes up with here. Let's add that word bluegrass in there and see if that means anything to ChatGPT. Oh man, ChatGPT, you're actually winning hard on this one already. I can see that. This is an exercise that I have suggested to my students hundreds of times. Select a bluegrass song that you're familiar with and it has a clear melody. Play the song while listening carefully to the melody line. Once you have a good sense of the melody, that means internalizing it, right? If you have trouble playing along with the song, try to play the melody line slowly and methodically, note by note, until you can play the entire melody accurately. I have given this exercise to dozens, hundreds of guitar players maybe, so this is awesome. ChatGPT for the win on this one. I'm solidly giving this a like. Good job, ChatGPT. Let's see what Bard has to say on this one. I'll give it the same prompt here. Let's see what Bard has to say. Whoa, Bard. There are many ways to practice identifying chords, but one simple way is to use an online programmer as the... Oh, gosh. I love it. Bard, it seems to kind of be pushing the responsibility of the exercise away to like, but go find another thing that'll give you the specifics of how to do this. Okay. Yeah, these are decent suggestions, I would say, Bard, but maybe not as great as the specific suggestion that we received over at ChatGPT. So let's go back to ChatGPT and see if we can get something that's maybe music theory related, Okay. Practice playing these progressions in different keys and positions on the guitar and try to understand how they relate to the melody. I like that, but ChatGPT doesn't even know we use capos. A real human would have mentioned capo position there. I like these things. It's like giving us general things to practice, but say that you don't know how to identify the chords or identify the chord progression or relate those back to a key, then what do we do? So this is kind of, I'm not going to read the rest of this answer. And in fact, this is a great point to mention that I will be posting all of these answers inside of my guitar club, hayesgriffin.club. If you're interested in kind of supporting the channel and getting a little extra guitar instruction, maybe some FaceTime with me on a Zoom call, go ahead and check out that link below in the description to Guitar Club. But right here, I think these are great general things to practice, but once again, in order to kind of make these relevant to any of the students that I have asked these questions of me, I would need to kind of add some more depth and breadth to the knowledge here, right? I would need to maybe explain that a major scale is starting on one note and going up whole step, half step, whole step, half step, and then talking about making triads out of the major scale in order to relate chords back to the major scale and its degrees, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. These things are kind of being left out of these responses by ChatGPT, and I bet if we were to ask like more specific prompts, it would give us the answers we want, but as a student, sometimes we don't have that language to ask the specific question, right? We need that teacher, that human on the other side to kind of interpret what we're trying to go for in order to give us something that we can then use in order to forge ahead in that direction on our musical path. So I think I'm starting to lean in a direction for what I think about these AI tools and guitar practice. Okay, folks, now that we've seen these two AI tools in action that are suggesting practice routines and exercises for us, what do you think? I'm kind of the opinion that these things are great to maybe generate a list of ideas that we can then actively and mindfully comb through to tailor to our own needs. But as far as a comprehensive guru that can tell me how to practice the guitar, I think AI is still a long ways off from being able to do that. Obviously, AI learns from every interaction that you have with it. And if I'm in here kind of giving thumbs up and thumbs down plus feedback to these AIs, then they will learn from me and maybe in the next months and years kind of be able to tailor their responses to give us more appropriate, practice routines and technical exercises. But right now, in 2023, I don't really think it's there. So what do? Is there a way for us to actually use these AI tools in order to craft a good practice routine? I would still say yes, there is a way to do that. If you're an intermediate or an advanced guitar player and you have a baseline understanding of music theory, you can make some major scales, you can make some triads, you know how to find the notes on your guitar and stuff like that. I think if you're in that intermediate and advanced stage, then AI could potentially be a good kind of sounding board for your needs in the practice room. Now, if you're a straight beginner here, don't do this. There are plenty of online resources that can give you that baseline of information that can maybe help you eventually take advantage of AI tools and fill in some of the gaps that they're leaving in their suggestions. If I was to step back and kind of list pros and cons right now, some of the pros of AI would include it's free, so it's just free suggestions for you, right? And it can be infinitely inquired. Not only is AI free, but you can write as many different kind of prompts into the AI as you want. You can tell it that you didn't like the response, so it's kind of like an active learning thing. And if you're willing to invest that time, maybe you'll get some better responses out of the AI in the future. Now, some of the cons, you don't really get that human interaction. AI can't read you and see what you're trying to ask with your limited vocabulary if you don't understand the concepts fully that you're trying to learn. And then overusing technology could actually inhibit your playing. If the internet isn't giving you the answers that you need or want, guess what? That means you need to invest in that yourself. Figuring out chord changes, figuring out melodies, ear training. These are the things that we are really great at. And honestly, it's hard to invest in these things. The work that you put into that process is going to pay exponential dividends down the road. Some of you are like, well, I don't know how to do ear training. I don't know how to do this. If you want to improve your ear training, you want to improve your music theory and all of these things that AI can't help you do right now, then you need to invest in some time with a teacher. If improving your practice routine is something that you're actually interested in, I've got a free 30-day trial inside of my guitar club that I would love to offer anyone watching this video right now. Just go ahead and click that link below in the description. And when you get to the guitar club, in addition to this video, I'm going to have a new one that talks all about practice routine and has PDFs to kind of guide you through crafting your own custom tailored practice routine that's going to keep the ball moving forward in your guitar playing. I'm also going to have a suggestion of lesson playlists that you can check out inside of the guitar club to tackle some of those technique, repertoire, ear training, and music theory related questions that you might have and want to add to your routine for now. Thanks so much for checking out this video. Really appreciate it. Hit that like and subscribe button below if you haven't already, and stay tuned. We've got more great videos for you right here.